How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to another episode of Vanguard 101, where we're going to learn you to become a better player if you're a beginner or looking to improve. We're going to cover everything in this series. So today we're going to be talking about positioning. Now, this is key to dominating the lobbies in COD. Now, a lot of people just think it all revolves around your gun skill, which if you've seen my How to Win Gunfights tips episode, you know, that does come into play. But positioning is where you're going to sort of separate yourself from being a good player to a great player, in my opinion. Positioning sort of means where you put yourself in order to get more kills, to sort of dominate. Now, we're going to cover a lot of different things, from elevation, power positions, sort of reading spawns, everything in this video. So if you do want to leave me a subscribe and a like down below, I do appreciate that. It does help out the channel, and we'll get straight into the tips now straight away. So first of all, I want to talk about using power positions to your advantage. Now, I do have a full video on power positions on every map, but this basically means a spot where you can hold down sort of multiple lines of sight, you can hold multiple lanes of the map, and also elevation does come into this as well. But this will be sort of normally centered towards the mid-map, and sort of watching over objectives can be a good one as well, especially in those game modes like Hardpoint and Domination. Good example of this, so you'll see here in a minute, on sub-pens is that top room. That would be sort of key power position on this map. Or if you look at a map like Dome, for example, you've got the 2 points where you can go elevated on either end of the map. Those are just sort of things to keep in mind. Now, if your team and you can dominate these sort of power positions, you're going to be able to control the way that the map plays out by holding down the enemies and covering your flanks and taking down multiple lines of sight. Now, power positions are going to lead me on to the next topic, which is going to be height advantage and elevation. Now, you can use both of these to your advantage. Basically, by what that means is you're higher than your enemy, so in elevation terms, so you can be sort of above them. And this is going to allow you to sort of head glitch a lot more easy, because obviously if you're looking over a ledge down at enemies, then you're going to be able to take them out. It's going to be harder for them to get to you because they're going to have to work to get to it to find flanks. And this is a perfect example on sub-pens here. You'll see I have this room, which is the high ground of the map. Usually the highest point is a nice spot to sit if you have a good AR skill, or even if you have a sniper as well. And it also allows you to peek from different angles, because obviously if you shoot from one corner of a building and they start aiming at you there, you can duck back out of sight and then pop up from the opposite side of the building. This is going to let you take them out. And another good point for height advantage is if an enemy is in the open and you're just head glitching above them, then you're going to be able to see more of the enemy than they can already see of you, allowing you to make them into an easier target and you to be a harder target. Now, creating angles is a very, very big part of winning more gunfights in Warzone. Or essentially what this means is you're finding alternate angles where you can shoot your enemies from. Now, in the clip here, you'll see me pushing down the stairs after this guy. Now, I do actually keep pushing him an ego challenge, which was kind of dumb looking back. But maybe I could have created a different angle by flanking outside and coming through the tunnel, taking him out where he's not expecting me from. Because by pushing straight down, he's just going to be sat there waiting for me. So this would be a good example of creating an angle. Now, another good idea would be if you're in a power position, as we've already spoken about, don't peek the same spot twice or from an obvious spot. You could come from an off angle maybe, and you could take them out like that. And in the clip here is a good example. As we're pushing up the stairs to this top room, obviously it's a really hard push, so I'm going to go up the left side and try to take them out like that, because they're less likely to be peeking it, although I do get killed by a guy from the right. But if I'm just going to run up the stairs as they expect, then it's more likely I'm going to get taken out. So you want to think of different ways you can take them out. Or another example is if somebody's sat up in a building, maybe you could position yourself somewhere where you could see through a window and then try and take them out with an AR or a sniper. So it's just thinking outside of the box to try and take out your enemies. Now, another thing I wanted to talk about is knowing when to change your position. So you might be holding down a whole area of the map, then you start to get overrun. This would be a good example of when to move your position. Or you might be in one room and one area is getting bombarded with frags and stuns, so you may just want to reposition yourself inside of that room. I will have a full video coming out on repositioning in itself, so stay tuned for that, and don't forget to subscribe for that video so you can see it when it releases. But another few examples of when to change your position is, obviously, very obvious one is if you get killed, so you're obviously going to change it anyway by dying. Maybe if your spawns flip as well, so obviously if you see your team coming from a different angle and you have an idea of where the enemies are going to be spawning, they may be spawning on you, so it's a good idea to stay sort of focused and know where they're coming from. If you start to get overrun, don't be afraid to back out and find a better spot to shell from. Then just another one as well, just sort of links onto this. In regards to movement, you want to always be putting yourself into cover. Always have a good idea of where your next point of cover is going to be when you're moving around a map. So rather than running out in an open, maybe you could use sort of rocks or walls or fences, anything to sort of break your enemy's line of sight and get the jump on them before you sort of attack. Because if you attack them head on, you're more likely to get killed. So just always be sort of positioning yourself around different cover and have lots of it as well. Now, it's a very, very good idea to learn how the enemy spawns work, especially in a game mode like Hardpoint. I have a full video on using your minimap, but I just wanted to talk about using your map to help this. So briefly, I'll sort of say, if your enemies are sort of coming from a certain direction, you see red dots, it's more than likely they're spawning there. But another idea you can use is to, if you see your blue teammates on the map, so think of the opposite direction to where you guys are, then it's likely that the sort of enemies are going to be spawning there. Or if you see an area of the map where there's no blue dots or blue triangles, then this probably means that the enemies are going to be around there. So you can use this knowledge then to sort of position yourself somewhere where you can pre-aim and you can just get ready to take out the enemies as they push across. And then in something like Hardpoint, it's always a good idea to make an early rotation or a position to where the next hardpoint is going to be, so you can put yourself between the current objective and the new one, and then you can put yourself somewhere where you can wait for them to push across. So say for example in the clip now, where the current hardpoint is, if a hardpoint spawns on the other side of the map like this one, then you can put yourself in between those and get ready to hold down all the routes that the enemies may take whilst they're pushing over. So it's just a nice way to position yourself to sort of hold down an area and look over the objective and your teammates and be a good team player whilst you're doing it. So guys, that was kind of everything that I wanted to cover up today on positioning. If you have any questions or any other sort of topics you want me to cover, please do let me know down below. This one today was just sort of talking over a good gameplay in the background of using some good positioning. It does come naturally to a lot of people, but I'm hoping that these tips will help you guys sort of think about where you're putting yourself in the gunfights more, rather than just running in all guns blazing. As I know, once I started focusing on positioning myself, my gameplay's got a lot better and I started picking up more kills, and you do get a lot more success in the game like this as well. So if you enjoyed or find it helpful, don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. I'm really trying to hit 500 subs by the end of the year, which I really can't believe we're almost on to it now. Really appreciate everybody's support, it does mean the world to me. So guys, I'll thank you all for watching and I'll see you all in the next episode.